All right, guys, 1.7.6 is out. It didn't break my mods. Ha! I did find a few that I wanted to add to my list, and there's a few that I dropped off. No hard feelings. Let's go ahead and do a walkthrough, though. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the mods, I'll just walk through each one, make a quick comment about what it's there for, and then move on to the next. Let's go with 1.7.6 unofficial hotfix mod. This modder just stays on top of things and has a little hotfix here to help tweak little things in the game. It's a nice one to have. Load it first because this is something that is very vanilla-y. It takes your vanilla game, it makes a few tweaks, and then other mods will then further tweak some of those values. So you just load the ones that are there to patch things. They go first. I removed, there's one that was checking everything, and a lot of that stuff had been put into the base game, and the newer version of the mod, it was breaking things, and the modder has not had time to really get into it. So, hope things go well for you there, modder, but for right now, I got to move it out of the game. But I do still have my clear sky. Get rid of your clouds. The modern political map, Terrain Exterminator. This gives me a modern map, and when I zoom all the way in, it stays political map color. That's all I want. I just want the political map. It's got some relief features to it. Those are nice, but it's a political map. Have I mentioned I like political maps? This is my mod. This is my map mod that I just love. Global stats will show me, if I hover over a particular stat like GDP or population, it'll show what percentage of the global total that I have. This way I knew in my last game, towards the end, my USA was making 40% of the global GDP because I could hover over it and it did the math for me. I'll just say that there's a lack of global stats in Victoria 3, and there's also a lack of a global market, which I mentioned in my previous video on my American playthrough. Let's fix that, and this mod helps with that area there. More informative panel tooltips, so when you hover over the tooltips that are on like the far left-hand side of the screen, this will give you a little bit of information if you do that, so you don't have to actually drill in to get some of the juicy pieces that you're always going after. This will help you with getting information. It's a nice quality of life. As is GDP Plotline Plus. It makes it larger. You can see more of it. That's just, I like a big graph. Because the ones that have like this, and I can get that if we should be able to choose the graph size that we want in our display. And if we've got a small screen and we want a small graph, let's pick that option. If we've got a big screen and we want big graphs, we should be able to do that. I like big graphs. I can't lie. And this gives my GDP as big as it can get. Or, well, not really, but still, it's good. Visible shortage fix. This will go into the panel here, the toolbar, or whatever, the info bar on the right-hand side. And instead of just saying you got shortages, it will show the amount. So you don't have to sit there and go, how much shortage do I have? You see the number, and you can decide, well, if I'm short by that good by 500 and each factory makes 50, I'll need 10. It helps you with the math. This is a beautiful one there. Better save game delete button. It just reduces the total number of clicks you have to do when you want to delete old save games, like when there's a new upgrade in the code and you can't go back to your old saves. Yeah. And you got a lot. This will help clear them out there. Extra top bar info, just like it says. It gives you more info at the top bar. The vanilla version has some good data in it, but this adds in data for your military information, your I can't remember everything that it changes because I only play with this. I don't do vanilla a lot. Lots of really good information. You can go directly to you see your legitimacy, you see your radicals and loyalists, you see how many convoys you have left. Great stuff. And it also will show how much innovation you're generating and what your innovation... And so, that's really good for keeping track of your innovation. Vanilla, it's just absent and out of sight, out of mind. You may never build universities because you're never prompted about it. This fixes that. Let's scroll down. Base price tag. When you hover over a good, it'll show its base price. Good information to have. GDP ownership display. You This is where you go over the GDP element in a nation thing. Here's the leader, here's the stats, here's GDP. You hover over that and it will show what percent of its own GDP is being generated from investment in other countries and what percent of its GDP is owned by other countries. And this is really interesting to see because towards the middle and late part of the game, you will have mutual investment treaties and things like that going on between great powers that are friendly with each other. So you can see something like, oh my gosh, Britain owns 10% of my economy. And then you look over on the British economy, oh, I own 9.8% of their economy. Oh, okay. Why are we investing in each other's economy? It doesn't matter. It's just the opportunities were there. People are able to do commerce and hey, enjoy. Because remember, those ties help bind. Those ties will bind. But if you're trying to keep track of investment in another country because you're trying to bring that country into your power block and investing in their economy is one way that you do it, this will help with that. This will help with that. So you can track your ownership and track it relative to other countries. Good to do. All right. Choose map color. This is the one that I have disabled. I don't use it all the time, but when I do, I click on dark blue. If I'm playing Germany, I don't like the default Germany color at the end. I know it's not Prussian yellow, but Germany light brown is, I like the Prussian blue. I like it. Even if it conflicts with the French Empire blue that is almost identical. Then I'll conquer them. I just like this for changing map colors. It's a nice one to have, but I leave it disabled because if it's turned on, it will leave an option on. Now, there's a way to disable it as well in the game, but I'll turn it on when I need it. And when I don't need it, I'll just leave it out. But I've also gotten rid of all of my other disabled mods because there's an issue that if you download all these with a JSON file, sometimes they come in enabled, and that can mess up a game. So, like the one mod I had for it had done some things that reduced the number of ticks needed to be checked on for things and really improve performance. That got brought into the base game. And then there needed to be some other fixes for the mod to get it ready for 1.7. And the modder just simply is not at a place in life where they're able to pay attention to it and take care of it. And I understand that completely. So until it feels better, I've removed it from my mod set rather than leave it disabled, just so that way it won't get enabled and ruin a game. But choose map color, I'll leave disabled, and if it becomes enabled, it's not going to break or hurt anything, and you could turn it off and on in the middle of the game, and it's fine. Power plant not local and transportation not local. These allow it to where if you have a surplus of transportation in one part of your country, it'll spread to another. Same thing with power plants. Try not to abuse it. Try to think, they need a power plant there, but at the same time, you're not penalized because you have 40 extra power in Brandenburg, and you have 40 power that you deficit in Anhalt, and Anhalt's penalized because it doesn't have enough power. No, you could take the 40 extra from Brandenburg, and it's right next door. And it doesn't require that you build transmission lines or anything like that. Just let me spread my power around. Now, it will keep it within members of your market. So if, let's say I'm playing a game and I've got Belgium in my market and they've innovated electricity first and they're behind on building their power plants, I'll show a deficit in my market. And if I start building power plants in my country because Belgium is in my market, they'll pick up on it. If you're contiguous, it looks like it makes sense, like Germany and Belgium or France and Belgium. If it's USA and Belgium and you're going, wait, how are they getting my power? I don't know. They put the power on a boat and ship it across. I don't know. I don't care. Some things just need to be abstracted. I'm sorry, that's one of them. And same thing with transportation. But these are both great to have to help avoid state deficits that make you have to go in and stare at a screen and figure out how much are they short by, and then go click out of that and go into the quality of life. Absolutely. Famous infamy. This increases the infamy levels in the base game. So instead of it being 25, 50, 75, 100, it goes 50, and then 75, and then 100, it just takes the lower two and expands on them, but the the topmost level is still 100. So you get much more room to play. You can conquer 2 states instead of 1 with this guy. I like it. It does make it a little easier for me, the human player. Oh well. Irregular nerf makes it to where irregular troops are really bad. So once you develop machine guns and things like that later in the game, yeah, wipe them out and dominate the way a machine gun army should. Rarer, powerful IGs. There's a tongue twister there. It just makes it to where the threshold for an interest group to be powerful is 25% instead of 20. So that way getting a powerful interest group is going to be much rarer in your game, hence the name of the mod. Boxers Rebellion fixed. Does a few tweaks there. I think it's still needed in the game. I know I checked it in 1.7.5 when that came out, or 1.7 actually, and that was needed. Same thing with defensive recapture nerfed. Those are still needed. I looked at the base game number, and I looked at the numbers here, and I agree with these. The base game is still needing the fixes there. Urban center electricity generation will allow you to generate a little more electricity in your urban centers when you discover it, so that way when you first find electricity, you turn this on, and the small need you have for electricity is satisfied. You will still need to spam out some power plants, but you start off with a little bit, and that's a good thing. Cold water ports. Ha ha, Russia, you have cold water ports. You won't be able to build as much navy there until you start conquering the warm water ones. Not in the base game, but it works well with the other mods that I have coming in, especially the flavor ones. So this is a good deal here. Better natural harbor. We'll make it where when you have the natural harbor mod, you get way more bonuses there, and I like it. No flu, still needed. Please, Paradox, fix the influenza outbreak. Just fix it. And while you're at it, also fix the pebrine outbreak. That thing is a pain in the neck, and it adds flavor, but it just means like, oh no, something bad happened, and you can't do anything about it until you discover this technology, and then blow all of your authority points on paying attention to your silk producing provinces, which is fine if you only have the 2, but if you went on a spree and you've got like 20 silk producing provinces, it's a huge pain in the neck because only France gets it. And you're like, oh man. And the influenza one is just where it gets turned on and never turns off. It's like, all right, so why is this an event? Why not just say, oh no, influenza outbreak, cut everybody's population by a third, move on. And we just know, sometime between 1918 and 1921, your population drops by a third, and you move on. But this will keep it low and keep it stay low, and it's just broken as heck. No flu fixes the broken by removing it. Sweet, sweet, sweet victory gives you points for, it just helps you whenever you win battles. That's a good thing for your prestige, for your commanders. Welfare payments fixed will make it to where when you have the lower... like if you have this is for poor laws, you don't spend so much on it that you bankrupt your country. This is really important for China. I feel it's really, you got to play a careful game when you're tweaking China, because you think like, this will help it in the beginning of the game, yay, and then suddenly in 1860 you have Super China. Like, what? How'd that happen? That's not historically accurate. It's because you made it's little butterfly wings in Peking, my friend. Butterfly wings in Peking. They make big changes. So be careful with there. Upgradable everything. Use with caution. The AI has issues when it trying to do unit upgrades. If you want the AI to stay current, you got to have this in there so that way it will actually upgrade and get the newer types of things that normally the upgrade path from regular units to armor, or from regular Navy to dreadnoughts and scout cruisers, normally that path is blocked. As a player, I want to play with that. I want to tell myself, no, don't just upgrade willy-nilly. Build those out specially, but I need this for the AI. So I use this for the AI, and as a human player, I promise not to abuse this and just upgrade my start with my gunboats and upgrade them all the way to dreadnoughts and battleships. That's not what this is for. No. Sink and stay sunk helps the naval game by making it where the navies don't repair so quickly and then jump out and attack you again. They stay sunk. This is good. And I know that 1.8, the developers are talking about making the naval game better by having individual ships. I think that's going to be really good if they change it to where I just spam naval bases, but where instead I need to add more naval bases to provide support for the kind of navy that I'm commissioning, and that I need to decommission ships over time, and I need to recommission ones to fight, things like that. I hope that that's what they will do, and I hope that you use your naval bases to support your navy, and it's not just I built a base, I get a ship. I built a base, I get a ship. It needs to be something like that, and you need to have it with logistics as well. They're talking about that, and hopefully in 1.8 we won't need this anymore because we'll have a new naval game that works. Speaking of naval game that works, you need something that gives your the little thing that you have that increases your prestige when you increase your military pay. Let's also increase the pay for the Navy and increase their prestige too. Join ongoing wars. I haven't used this very much lately, but I still do because there's just not enough flexibility in the game for allowing diplomatic plays to continue as a war kicks off. And that really historically is a thing in this time period. The AI can't really use it, or I don't think they use it. I've never seen them use it, but I use it. So it may be a situation where suddenly I gain an interest and I need to insert myself into a war. This allows me to do that. In Victoria 2, if you saw a war happening and then you worked on influence of one of the targets and you became friendly with them, then you could jump in on the war on their side. You wouldn't get any war goals, but you could just jump in to help defend them. I want that. I need that. This is a good thing. Less reactionary beliefs. This gives you a set of choices at the beginning of the game when you're setting the rules on how different ideologies are going to work and how different kinds of laws are going to work. So it will be something where you don't pass a law and then have a sudden reaction against it, and then you pass the law that they want, and then the people who passed the original law are so furious that they want a new law. Rather, you could go where, hey, I passed this law, and then we'll pass the next level of that law because the people have power and they're in power, and that's what they want. It allows for a better political progression than the ping pong, which I do not approve of. Military PM AI fix, still needed. This gets it to where the AI will improve the military production methods. Still needed. Double incorporation speed. I don't like the choice that the base game has for incorporating territory, so I use this one. There are other ones that'll do it where, hey, everything is 2 years. That's too fast. This just cuts the time in half, and I'm comfortable with that. This way, I don't look at something and go, oh my gosh, it's going to take how long to do? Might as well not even try to incorporate it. The game's going to be over before then. No, this makes it worthwhile. Investment rights last longer, so it's a 5-year period instead of a 1-year period. This way, if you get investment rights in another country, your investors have time to work through it, and they don't get cut off if that is expired and not renewed. This fixes a problem. As does fixed government throughput. There's some weird malices in the game on government throughput, and this fixes that, so that way if a government owns a building, it's not going to suddenly be the worst thing ever. And I hear the laissez-faire capitalists out there going, no, it must be done. Government is inefficient. Look, this is a time period where government is involved in just about everything, including calling for laissez-faire capitalism, which never really materializes. Never truly materializes. It is a fiction of the imagination. There is always a government, and it is always involved in the economy, and government-run industries are not guaranteed boondoggles. Some of them actually ran pretty well, and some of them were private ownership on the surface, but heavy government involvement. Krupp Industries, anyone? Come on. It can work. So this fixes that throughput malice. Fixed government debt as well. This helps with it does things so that way the AI is going to be a little bit better behaved in the way it invests and stuff, and it's not going to be, yeah. Anyway, less productive subsistence. Subsistence farms are the bane of my existence because in the base game they produce way too much stuff, and I can't get any other industries going. Like, why is there no textile industry? Because there is a textile industry. It's all my subsistence farms. Make it to where they don't make stuff. They make enough food, and that's it. It's subsistence. And now you can get your textile industry kicked off. Now you can get your liquor industry going. Now you can get, the other little things going that these guys were killing. So I absolutely believe in this. As I do in Pop Demand Tweak, this adds some good demand interest in the game to just keep the beginning of the game going. It may result in some odd demand at the beginning that needs to be resolved, but within a few months, it all works out, and this is a good one to have. Hyper-aggressive pop merging. There's also ultra-high aggressive, which is a bit too much for me. This helps, especially towards the end of the game, where you have lots of little long-tail things. This will help merge them in. You'll notice that I am missing yeet pop fragments. That one seemed to be a bit too aggressive, and people on my Discord were having experiences saying this is not doing the game like we think it should be doing, and I agree with that. So I've removed the yeet pop fragments. Now, it's still a mod that you could add in, and if you think, oh my gosh, my performance is terrible, I've got to have it now, put it in the later part of the game, woof, it'll clean things out, and you can carry on forward from there. But I just don't have it. Canals add company capacity. When you build a canal, be it Suez or Panama, you get a company. Now, you can choose whether the company will be added after the canal is up and operational, or if you just get it right away. If you wait for it to be up and running and things like that, you'll get it to where it may take a very long time before you get that company. If you want the company right away, then okay, you build the canal, you get the company. It's up to you to, on your honor, to build the right company for the canal. If you want to use this like, haha, I built a canal, now I can build another regular company. All right, whatever. But if you want to be historically honorable, when you build the right canal, build the company that goes with it, please. And there you go. Military treaties for militias means if you have national militia as your military law, you can still get a military defense treaty. It's okay. The USA can now build defense treaties with that. Better decrees. Okay. Advisedly on this one here. It is going to be very overpowered if you have a small country. Whereas, if you have a larger country, you're going to get a lot of benefit off of keeping your taxes, putting on your consumption taxes, using your authority for that. For a smaller country, you've only got, say, 2 provinces. I'm thinking Belgium. Well, you look at your consumption taxes and you go, wow, those are tiny because I've got a tiny population. Then you look at your throughput buffs from improving industry and you go, whoa, those decrees are just going to, they're money makers. Okay, so better decrees, the intention there is if you have a very large country, you use this and it helps you out. Now, it's going to help the AI out. No question there. The AI needs help. But it does this in a way that it doesn't explode the AI's potential. I did have another one here. You'll see like below here, Kuromi's AI, and missing is Yagami's AI. Yagami's AI is simply, let's give +5 on everything that the AI does. +10, +100%, whatever. -50% on rebels. And that was getting some super Chinas to form and some other weird effects. So I've removed that because it was just too overpowered. Nice. It was nice in a lot of ways, but it was just not, it's too much. But better decrees, if the AI uses it, let it go. But for you, if you're playing a small country, maybe don't use better decrees. Use the standard ones. Give your game some difficulty. Now, if you want to play a smaller country and go completely, all right, turn it on and just go all the way to the bank. But don't brag about it because you know you had ahistorical tilting of the game in your affair. Anyway, onwards. Law and authority allows more authority to emerge out of laws that you adopt. A good thing there, I think. So if you have like lots of regulations, you get a lot of authority from there. This helps deal with the authority deficit for that normally goes with a progressive political platform. Like, hey, you know what? We got rid of these things that are giving it like, okay, if you let's say you go with more voting rights, you lose authority there. Oh no, my economy is going to tank because I gave people voting rights. What? But what if the people vote in better workplace regulations? Yay! Now I add more authority because we have a regulatory regime there. This helps with that. It's very good. Federal and Reformist Austria-Hungary. It's a good color mod. I like this one. It doesn't hurt, and I checked it out. It doesn't conflict with my other flavor mods. It's a good one. Liberate country as subject. When you do the liberate country deal at the end of a war, you have a choice now. Do you make it part of your bloc, a protectorate, a dominion, or a puppet? With corresponding infamy amounts for each. Really strong. Now, the AI doesn't use it, but I do. And I want a game where when I liberate another country from another country, they don't just go walking away. Oh no, I helped you out. You owe me now. Yeah, I like that. Well, or the part of the other way. Just to make sure you stay safe, citizens, we will keep you in our economy as a protectorate or dominion. So that way, when the other country comes back for you, we'll be able to defend. Now, give me your money. Okay. Culture in shackles. This one is one of these things where, if there's slavery going on in the game, it makes the slave populations conform to whatever designation for the local slave population is. So instead of having like Afro-Antillians, and then you bring in Lacustrine Bantu, that you don't maintain two separate ones. No, the Lacustrine Bantu become Afro-Antillian. It just helps with the performance of the game, and to help, it really does simulate the melting pot effect of a slave culture. I don't say that's a good thing, but it's a happened thing, and it makes better performance in the game, so I use this. Now we're on to Kuromi's AI. There was a video that was shared with me that showed how this one performed relative to other AIs, including vanilla, in terms of economic development through the game, and different portions of the game. I really liked the numbers that went with Kuromi's AI, so I'm switching over to it. And it does some other tweaks in there as well. I've tried it in a few runs, and I'm going to keep going with it. It comes to me recommended. Now, if it doesn't work out and it blows up in your face, my apologies. But it's one that I'm trying out, one that I'm sampling. A lot of the other ones that you've seen, especially if you've seen these in other videos, you know that I love them, trust them. They're the ones this is what I'm trying out, and I hope it pays off. Trade rework is one that I've used before, and it works great, helps to improve trade in the game. Now we get to three of my favorites here: industry realism, political and economic changes, and the com patch for them. Industry realism, one factory, one good, that's it. The exception is with hardwood and because if you take, some provinces have just hardwood, and if you say, well, no lumber for them, then you wind up with like a complete global lumber shortage at the beginning of the game, because they're all like, we can only make hardwood here. So they have to also be able to make softwood. The wood situation in the base game is a mess, and we're trying to do what we can with it. But industry realism with all the other ones, it helps so much. And it's great for the AI. They can figure out what they need to build, and they do it. It's awesome. I love that. Now, political and economic changes. It makes political changes and economic changes. What are the political changes? Political groups will change their ideology over time. For example, landowners start off monarchist, but you pass, you get a presidential republic. Then they'll go, well, okay, we'll support the new republic, but there's still going to be plutocratic in their view. But this way, your reactionary, your conservative groups are not going to be wiped out over time. They're going to remain a force in your country over time, and they're going to adapt to new conditions. Same thing with the religious interest group. It can get to a point where they could decide, hey, instead of being this really hardline traditionalist religious group, maybe we need to pay more attention to the poor, or maybe we need to deal with the middle class. You have those options. And by the way, making your church take on a more socially involved role is very interesting. How they will push a lot of what we consider to be progressive agenda, but then they still have some very traditional elements that just remain with them, and they'll pop up, and it's like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming. Oh no, now the petite bourgeoisie jumped in on that. What's going on here? I'd like to give women the vote, but oops, because we got the unions, their rights. Now we can. I like what that does. Now the economic changes, well, I kind of go with the politics, because part of the political change is to add a central bank, and part of the economic changes is to have a central bank and business cycles. And you're able to have some input to help guide the frequency of those and the intensity if you have a central bank. If you don't have a central bank, oh no, you just watch helplessly like everybody else did in the time period. And if you have depressions, it helps drive your people towards demanding a central bank. It's a really awesome mod, and it plays well with so many others because it stays in its lane. And I'll just say this, I like mods that stay in their lane. Total conversion mods, I've seen people suggest, you got to try this, or it doesn't work for me because I've got all these other quality of life mods here, and something that tries to do total conversion may break these other ones or may make it to where I can't use them. And so I'm going to just say no on those. I say no on those. I like regional flavor. I like regional things. I like mods that stay in their lane. So when I put them together with other mods, they don't step on each other. And that gets me to why I don't have Gilded Age on this list. Gilded Age did, I think, an excellent job of preventing too early African colonization. But it railroaded colonization afterward. It also included some very high infamy penalties for colonial conflict, and I felt that they were not balanced. Now, maybe the author felt they were, and that's fine, but I didn't. And there were some other elements that Gilded Age did that railroaded things, and it also conflicted with Hail Columbia and the Balkans one. It would basically run two at the same time. It is I see Gilded Age as a total conversion mod. If you want an experience that has more of the actual events that happened in history, Gilded Age is good for that. If you want to make sure your Africa gets colonized and stays colonized and and the map looks very similar to the way it did in 1913, Gilded Age will deliver that for you. It will do that. But if you don't want things railroaded that way, if you don't want to pursue just that single track, it's not going to be good. I'd recommend one play with it just to see what it does and have it blow your mind and go, wow, man, that's cool. And then you turn it off and do the other stuff there. That'd be cool too. But if you really want to have something that sticks to a schedule, a little more historical playthrough, Gilded Age will help with that. Having said that, I've got Greece, Byzantium, and the Balkans flavor to help destabilize the Balkans, and allows other players to help poke at the Ottoman Empire or to support it, either way. But it'll help break up those rocks in the Balkans and make that an area of attention in the game. And Hail Columbia does a fantastic job with North America. You start it and you go, whoa, what happened to Canada? Whoa, what happened to the USA? Aha. Yeah. There's a lot of colonization to do, a lot of Indian wars to have happen. Yeah, they're called the Indian Wars, even though they're against the Native Americans, not real India. Anyway, but anyway, I digress. Hail Columbia does a really solid job of adding flavor for North America. I can't live without it. Really can't. Recruit 5 commanders is another one I can't live without. I need 5 commanders. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 5. It removes so much frustration. Just Omani, Kenya. Now, because I am changing things up, I got rid of the Gilded Age, and let's see, where's the yeah, I need later African colonization down here, plus just Omani, Kenya. If I want to keep Britain out of Africa, that's the way I'm going to have to do it. Having the later colonization, it makes quinine a level 3 tech. And by the way, there's the vanilla game requires quinine to do Western exploration, which was what? Hail Columbia fixes that, so you don't need quinine in there to do your Western exploration. That's fine. Or, I mean, Western USA, or, well, Western North America. It wasn't USA then. I digress. But just Omani, Kenya takes that little piece of Kenya next to Zanzibar and gives it to Oman. So now you can't just jump in and start colonizing there. And I think that was also in Victoria too, as I recall, that you had to conquer it and then you could colonize. You didn't just sort of show up and say, hello, we're here to Kenya things. But having this and the later African colonization will mean I'm not going to get an accurate, but I'm going to get something closer to accurate without being railroaded. So I'm going to use that. Make my railways profitable again. You still need that in 176, so I'm using it. It makes your railways profitable. I mean, how else am I going to say this? It fixes some things with it, so that way they run at a better profit rate. Know when to hold them. Used to be know when to fold them, but now it's also hold. Deals with making sure that countries will surrender when they have no territory left, and also will help other countries stay on the war when they think, you know what, we may have been overrun, but a bigger army is on its way, and we're going to be okay. We'll hold on to things. For example, let's say your ally is Belgium, and the Germans just overran it completely. But you're the USA and you have twice the army that Germany does. Belgium will hold on, and they'll wait for you to show up and do your thing. And they'll go, aha, you got it. Ah. They will not drop out of the war. They will know when to hold them. Raj fix. So if the Raj becomes a protectorate, it fixes some things there. British Chartism helps it to where the main Chartist agitator is not in a marginalized interest group. He's an intellectual now. He'll get Chartism, and the political reforms that were so much a part of Britain in this time period, they'll get some traction in the beginning of the game. Speaking of traction, revolution pushes the reform. Have you ever had it be where you're trying to push, let's say, presidential republic or parliamentary republic, and the landowners and the church are up in arms. They're going to start a revolution. And as you're pushing the reform, they go into revolution. And then you're still debating and debating and debating while they're fighting. And then you finish the revolution, and it's just now going into the next phase. Like, if there's a revolution, now, once they break, that reform passes. It just goes on through. Now, it'll go like to 100%, sail through the procedures there very quickly, and okay, you guys broke from the country. Well, guess what? We just got rid of the monarchy. So, because wouldn't it be awful if they revolted and you never got rid of the monarchy while the revolution is going on? You suppress the revolution, and then the bill fails, and then you keep the monarchy. I mean, come on, no. They revolt, they walk out, and you pass the law when they're gone. That's what this does. Beautiful. Battle of the Alamo. I like Texas in my game because it keeps the USA playthroughs interesting, so I turn this on. If I'm going to play Mexico, I'm going to turn it off because I may not want so much Texas. Or I may just prefer to be Tejas. You know what I mean? Power plant spam fix. Good one here. It will keep it to where you don't have to spam power plants. It fixes the power generation there to some degree. I'm still spamming power plants. I may just go back in and make my own mod and tweak it even more, but oh well. Ban peasant dividend is something I'm trying out to see how this works. To remove peasants from getting dividends from their stuff there. They're not supposed to. or subsistence farmers. So this will make it to be where they will move on and try to get better jobs somewhere else. Over time, your people should shift from being peasants to unemployed at the lower stratus of the society. And that gets to this one down here, better job seekers, but I don't want to give it away. Smarter AI law enactment. This is another one like ban peasant dividend that I'm trying out to see if it makes it where the AI is just better at enacting laws. I'll see how it goes. It may take several playthroughs, but I don't think it'll hurt. But again, if it breaks something, we'll take it out. But for right now, I'm trying it. I mentioned this guy here, makes quinine level 3. And now better job seekers. Haha. Oh, yes. Oh, this comes from a trusted modder. I think it's the same one that did the Better Industries one. Or sorry, Industry Realism. Yeah. All right, what did he cook up? Well, better job seekers. In the base game, you have job seekers, peasants, and unemployed, and you got to click through each one of those to see what you have in a particular province. And you may get it to where you have 0 peasants, yay, and you think, oh boy, now, well, my job here is done. But then unemployment is at 100,000 because they're no longer peasants. They're not going to go back to the subsistence farm. It's not there anymore. They're unemployed they're urban unemployed. Well, how do I find them both? How do I find both peasants and unemployed? Well, that's what this does. Instead of having it be just a job seekers number of people like, oh, I'd like a better job. Do you have a job? Yes. Well, you're not really seeking a job. Well, I'd like a better one. That's garbage. That's not no use to me. This will, under the peasants, you still see peasants. Under unemployed, you still see unemployed. But under job seekers, it's peasants plus unemployed. Ah. So now I just know how many people do not have jobs. Those are my job seekers. That's a population I want to address. People who want a better job, awesome. I'm happy for them. Whatever. I need to know where I have unemployed and peasants because I want that number to be 0. Or where I don't have it 0, that's where we're going to build stuff to get that number to 0, to get there, and then line go up and all that. This is a great mod to have. Should it be down here at the bottom? Not necessarily. It doesn't change a lot. I could put it up higher in the load order, but I just added it and I haven't really looked at how it changes other things. I know it's just a small one, so I put it here and that's where it is. And that's my mod list for 1.7.6. That's the latest one here. I've got other mod lists for other updates, and when we get to 1.7.7 or 1.8, this one is over. But until then, for 1.7.6, this is my mod list, and I hope all your diplomatic plays go the way you want. Ta-ta and farewell. And how do I turn this off? Because it's so unprofessional if you finish it and then you're still talking. I mean, really. And the only thing that's even more unprofessional is if you get cut off in the middle of it.